comb your hair, go and wash your face. It's been a real long time since you've seen the light of day. So let thoughts come as they may, beauty and parade. Everybody all smiles when you're back in the seat again. All aboard the Petty Express to a beautiful darkness. It's full steam ahead to ride the rails to our next destination. Yeah!
Hey, you guys, sorry about that, a little delay. Flooding and trying to get home on time does not work well when everyone is having to change their routes around. So we are back, and we are just going to get right back into it to keep our momentum because, honest to goodness, this attorney is already irritating me again.
You're safe for talking generality? I mean, I'm trying to... Judge,
What are you offering it for? What are you offering the testimony for?
it's being offered to confirm the questions that he had to use to rely upon when he was examining my client under oath.
Okay, and so I'm finding it's not for the truth of the matter asserted, so I'll allow you to ask the question.
Yes.
I'm really not sure where we're going with it. No one gives me questions for anything, but I was told that they believed it was an intentionally set fire, if that's what you're asking.
And what did they tell you it was believed on?
What was it believed on?
Yeah, I mean, you were told that they who believed it was an intentional fire.
Your Honor, I think we're getting a little beyond the intent of why these statements are being offered. If he wants to ask if he received Scott Leroy's reports, I would be okay with that. But when we're starting to ask the questions this way, I feel like we're getting into a different area.
Your Honor, I believe, may we approach it? Yes.
And Impish Anu, this trial is a retrial. So this case actually starts out in 2007 with Linda and Todd Stermer. Now, at the end, or January 7th, 2007, there would be a fire at the Stermer household. Now, Linda would survive unscathed. Todd Stermer would be lit on fire 90% of his body and then possibly run over by Linda. Now, there have been several indications, including that Todd Stermer had gasoline on his pants, underwear, and socks. We don't really know if he was wearing a shirt at the time, but basically all of his clothing had a very strong scent of gasoline. Linda was seen buying gasoline the day of the fire. Linda also got her 3 children, her 3 teenage boys, out of the house. So not only is this a, retrial, but it is a train wreck. Now, Linda was charged with, the assault, the fire, and the murder of Todd Stermer. In 2010, she was convicted. However, her first attorneys really failed to, do any cross, ask any questions, object at any point, bring in their own witnesses. So basically, she got a retrial for, lack of effective counsel. Now, about the time that she got this trial or this conviction overturned, it was 2018. So then everything got backlogged in the COOF because the state decided to go ahead and retry Linda. So we are just now getting back to the retrial that was, given in 2018. Now, Linda has been on house arrest during this time. There were indications that Linda was both cheating on Todd, and that could have been a motivation, but also just with her general testimony, they were in terrible financial debt. So it looks like there were multiple motives. If you want to look at the state's sort of theory here, that, there was the affair, there was the money, and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the defense contends that Linda was Twitter-pated. She didn't send, she didn't set the fire. And, as anyone could do, in theory, When confronted with her husband cosplaying as the Human Torch on the front lawn, she ran him over in order to go get him help. Now, to be honest with you, this case has been just one giant cluster F. The defense is redundant and snarky, and the state looks like they are about over it. But we are currently still in the state's case in chief, so this is actually the lawyer that did the examination under oath of Linda Stermer about a month and then 6 months after the fire. He was retained by the insurance company to kind of, assess whether this, because they had already had some initial kind of indications that this might have been fraud, arson for gain, that they might not, honor the claim on the insurance. So right now we are on the defense cross-examining this particular witness to see if he had any nefarious sort of reasons that he was questioning Linda, basically to try to deny her claim, if the insurance was just looking for any reason to kind of, attack this woman who had just lost her husband and her house. The defense is again going on a lot of, as soon as this case happened, Linda was their only suspect, and how dare they accuse a widow? Kind of a lot of that stuff. So that's where we are right now.
Yes, you can answer, sir.
Okay. Based on the findings of both the state police and one of the best private fire investigators in the state, they both had the same opinion that this was an intentionally set fire preliminarily. And so I went forward on that, and then I would find out their final conclusions later on.
Yeah. And so basically, when you set Ms. Stermer for an examination under oath, and she agrees to be set for examination under oath,
Yes.
you're in essence, your whole mission is to interrogate, to be able to validate what you had been provided from who you said was one of the best state fire investigators in the state. And that basically is what you was trying to do, right?
Well, I wouldn't expect the insured to be able to validate forensic analysis, but the information about where the fire was, the statements she made, her side of the story, like I said earlier, all of that would certainly be part of it, yes. Okay. But as far as understanding fire patterns and knowing what is important and what isn't important, I wouldn't expect a layperson to know that. That's what experts are for.
But in your examination,
yes,
you're looking for misstatements and inconsistent statements. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, he is looking for lies. That's correct. And that's a terrible pause, sir. I'm sorry about that.
I'm asking to get details of the story, and I am aware when misstatements are made, and I dig into that more. Yes, absolutely. But that's not the purpose. I'm not trying to give misstatements. I would hope and assume that once I put someone under oath, they're going to tell me all the truth, but they don't always. And when they don't, then I make note of that and I dig deeper into those issues.
Okay, so my next question is, how do you determine what the truth is and what is not the truth?
Well, me personally, I will take all the information I gather. I try to not make that decision at all while I'm in the statement. I gather all the information and I compare what I was told with what I can verify from outside sources, from what common sense says, what makes logical sense, whether the story from this person has changed or stayed the same, and then I put it all together and say, I think that they are making misrepresentations, or I think they're telling the truth.
And so you do take this examination under oath and the answers you obtain from my client, and then you took those questions and answers and you compared it to information that was provided to you from the investigators, the state investigator, and you compared it to information that was provided to you from one of the experts, right?
Yes.
And then you made a conclusion and told the insurance company that, in your opinion, Ms. Stermer had not given you truthful answers. Would that be true?
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes. He's like, yes. Ish is lying. Lie.
Now, When you asked Ms. Stermer about the marital relationship,
Yes.
were you able to corroborate the information she provided to you in reference to how long they had been married and in reference to the family nucleus as far as the children, her husband, his employment, her employment, and what their financial status was?
Well, that's a big question.
But it was all
But-
part of your...
But that, well, there's like 8 issues in that question.
Okay, well,
But
then-
yes, I was able to verify
Yeah.
that they were married. I was able to verify that, you know, I came to the conclusion that this was a tumultuous relationship that was in the process of ending. I came to the conclusion that they were financially strapped, although I did not necessarily conclude that that was a new condition, right? Because that's one of the things I look for is a change in financial circumstances. When you just live a certain lifestyle, you become used to it. That doesn't create pressure. It's when the change to your lifestyle happens, that's what can create pressure. I didn't see a big change in their financial situation. And I'm trying to think of what the other topics were that
What did you base the change in their financial status? What did you base that on? Did you able to go outside of the conversation with Mrs. Stermer?
we asked for bank statements from Ms. Stermer. We looked at those kinds of things.
Okay, just let me stop right there.
Sure.
You got Ms. Stermer's bank statements?
Yes.
Okay. And the bank statements, was there anything unusual about Ms. Stermer's bank statements?
I don't know what you mean by unusual.
Well, I mean, did it show that she made deposits in reference to her employment?
As I recall, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you verify how long she had been employed?
I don't think I bothered with that, no.
Did you check on various places where she had worked?
No.
Okay. Did you check on various places where Mr. Stermer had worked?
No. Well, Mr.
He's
Stermer,
not
no.
going to hire her.
Did you do any type of financial background on Mr. Stermer?
Not much, because as I put the information together in this, my conclusion was that this was not a financially motivated fire, and so digging into the finances wasn't necessary. There was a
in other
different
words-
motive for this fire.
So in other words, what you stated in reference to finances, there was nothing unusual that gave you any red flags that an individual would have burned down their house because of their financial status, right?
He's asking him to speculate at this
Well,
point.
Well, no, like I said, one of the things I look at when I'm determining whether or not there's a financial motive for a fire is, was there a change, a sudden, like a loss of a job, a bankruptcy, a change in a health condition, or a promotion, a new job, something positive. I didn't see a dramatic change, positive or negative, in their financials.
but you would have had to go outside of the examination under oath with Ms. Stermer in order to verify those facts, though, right?
Correct. What I found outside was consistent with what she told me about finances. Yes.
And part of your examination under oath also, in reference to these type of cases, is that you also have to try to verify whether or not the individual has made any prior claims in reference to losses, right?
Sure, that's a relevant data point, yes.
Okay, I wonder if she has a history of prior claims or if Todd did. Alrighty, we're taking a break. And moving swiftly along. Oh, good Lord, this man's going to take 10 minutes
Mr.
farting with his
Mr. Willison, I believe, right before the break, I was, had asked if there were any other claims that you had verified or tried to inquire of Mr. or Mrs. Stermer in reference to fire claims.
She told me that they had had a claim together before they were married, but I think after around the time they had their first child together, that they had a fire claim on a place they lived, that the claim was paid, but then later she mentioned that they had to go to court to get paid.
Okay, was that a claim in reference to the fire that a house that they were living in?
At the time, yes.
Okay, okay. And you didn't find that to be suspicious of anything as it related to the claim that was being made in reference to this fire, though, right?
I certainly would have if I thought this was financially motivated, but because I didn't think this one was, then that became less relevant.
Okay. And you stated that there was some issues of domestic violence.
That's what she told me.
She told you that?
Yes.
She used the word domestic violence?
No, that's a
Okay,
term of
and
art.
that's what I want to make sure of.
Yeah.
Ms. Stermer never told you that she was living in a marriage of domestic violence,
She
did she?
told me that the husband she lived with struck her. That's the definition.
And thank you, Tammy Fayette, for gifting 1 membership. And that went to Ezra's Art Atelier. So congratulations. And I'm just proud of myself that I knew Atelier. So we both feel special today. Thank you so much, Tammy. And welcome to the Church of Mo, Ezra's Art Atelier. We have all the dark chocolate sarcasm, but please leave your, plastic recorder at home because honestly, my middlemost feral child was given it, and I want to take him out of school and start homeschooling him now. He's like, I have to practice for 3 hours every day. I was like, no, you don't. And do you know how I can tell you that? Because I never let your siblings practice for 3 hours a day. Oh, no problem. I think I had heard someone else say it, so I can't claim smartness all on my own. So thank you guys so much, and let's continue.
Definition of domestic violence.
But you can't verify that there was any domestic violence based upon your position and your job for the insurance company. You didn't verify that there was any domestic violence in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Stermer. Is that correct?
Right, based on the
Thank you.
information I had, I thought there was not.
Thank you. And there's nothing unusual about a husband and wife having a disagreement in reference to marital affairs and not wanting to.
No, it's the fact that Linda had an affair that was the reason they were arguing. Maybe don't put marital affairs out there if you're talking about a woman who done cheated on her husband with Samuel L. Jackson.
Children to be privy to a conversation about that.
I guess it was in the, is he asking for his opinion on that? What is he asking? Is it speculation? I'm not sure.
Well,
Your response?
approach. Because I'm
Oh,
going to
for
ask another
God's sake.
question.
Samuel X. Jackson. Oh, good Lord. This man is ridiculous.
I'm going to go out of order just a little bit, Mr. Willison.
Sure.
You've made a final report in reference to this case, didn't you?
I sent a letter to my client giving them my opinions on the case, yes.
Do you have that letter?
That'd be attorney-client privilege, sir.
So you don't write a report, you just write a letter?
Yes.
And in the letter, did you state that there was domestic violence?
You're asking me to tell you what legal advice I gave my client? I can't do that, you know that.
Well,
Oh my God, is this man even a lawyer? I was joking about him making B. Ivory Lamar look smart. I am no longer joking. This man may actually be a worse lawyer than B. Ivory Lamar. Hell, this man might be a worse lawyer than Darrell Brooks Esquire, third-party intervener to the pathetic.
I'm asking you,
Based on the answers to this question, I'm going to object at this point, Your Honor.
If you want to ask me what I concluded about this particular case, I can tell you that.
What did
But I
you
can't
conclude?
tell you what I told my client.
Oh, dude, don't help your dumbass, your fellow dumbass attorney when you don't need to. I know you're nice, dude, but don't.
what did you conclude? That would be in your letter, right?
I'm not going to tell you what was in my letter.
Okay, well, what was your conclusion? Where did you put your conclusion in something of a report?
I'm not going to tell you what was in my correspondence to my client, but I can
I
tell
don't,
you
I don't, I don't
what my
want your
conclusion was.
correspondence.
If
I
you'd
don't
like.
want your correspondence from you.
Okay, both of you are talking at the same time, and I've got an
I think
objection
his
coming in.
conclusions infringe upon the ultimate issue that this jury is to decide. So I would object at this point.
We are stopping this right now because I need to make a visual representation. Now, do you know a sharp? We're going to put a smiley face on this guy because I need to know which is his front and which is his back. Okay, right about here in my head has a pounding from where this man is asking stupid questions. Now, this is the part of Mo on the Bad Touch doll where he has hurt me today. And somewhere around here in my soul. Squid, I actually, as per usual and always, I simply copy Baker, and he had a bunch of bendy people, and I realized after I'd drawn several, questionable looking stick figure drawings that maybe I can make inappropriately erotic, crime scenes with these people.
Are you testifying from your conclusion?
Your Honor, I guess the court should.
Yeah, I'm gonna-
before the questions asked.
I'll sustain that objection.
Let me ask you this. You stated, because there was a statement that was made that I think is a very strong statement in reference to Ms. Stermer. There was a question that you brought out on direct as related to a couple of nights before the incident or the night before the incident, in which you stated that Mr. Stermer had a desire to be with his wife, and you stated that that he tried to rape her.
Yes.
That's what Linda represented. She represented that he tried to pull her pants down, part the Red Sea of her thighs, which, ew, and, do the married tango. But Linda was like, no, I don't consent. And so this was actually a big point because when, this particular lawyer that's being shown on screen started digging down into that, because that is a crime. Now, it is a crime, is called marital grape. But when she asked him, or when he asked her to kind of explain herself, it was more like a husband wishing you didn't have a headache, is how she then described it. But she first very much described it akin to SA, or attempted SA.
You've read your transcript?
Yes.
Do you have the transcript?
I do. Mm-hmm.
I'd like for
Right
you to
here.
refer to page 246 transcript. And this would be, I think, the October the 18th transcript,
I'm at 246.
246.
Yes.
And your question on line 20, you see that?
Yes.
Your question, you described some pretty heavy fighting Saturday night, sounds like. That's your question, right?
Yes.
And the answer, I don't even recall that it was heavy fighting. That's Ms. Stermer, right?
That's what you told me in October.
But
yes.
that's her answer, right?
Yes, in February she said he was screaming.
Just let me finish this question first.
Oh,
And the next stated that I know we argued some, right?
That's what it says, yes.
Line 24. This is your question. Didn't he try to rape me?
Yes.
That's your question, right?
Yes. Now, obviously that was,
Just counsel, if you just let me do this, we'll get to the next one
I'm just
later.
addressing this last one.
no, counsel, we can't just let you answer the question because you suck out loud at it. So this man is trying to help you out so he can get here before the second coming of Jesus Christ, and say goodbye to his wife, before the rapture. But daggone. Denise, probably until 5. That's kind of 5:30 is where I was going to put my cutoff, so I can make dinner for everyone. But that's kind of where I was thinking for this after our evening stream. So probably 5 to 5:30. Oh my gosh, do they have personalized Sailor Moon dolls? No, screw that. I'm going to buy my own Barbie and make my own. Not looking up redheaded Barbies right now.
The word "me" is probably a typo or a misspoke.
Probably a typo, but I'm just relying on
Yep, that's
exactly what I
says.
got.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
And the answer, no, he didn't try to rape me. He wanted to have sex.
Yes.
He tried, I had my clothes on still.
That's what she said in October. Yes.
Did you ask that same question again in another setting?
Yes. Earlier in February, I referred to it as when he tried to rape you, and she did not object or disagree with me.
So what the defense attorney is trying to do here is take two separate depositions. So this very nice gentleman on the stand interviewed Linda both in February and October. So what the defense attorney is trying to do is take the October hearing and say, Linda never said nothing about Todd being creepy, when she sure as hell did in February. So while the defense is trying to say, well, I don't know why you would characterize that as, that. She just said that he wanted to have relations and she had a headache. Well, it's because she represented it as a grape.
You were asking the same questions in one setting of the examination under oath, and then months later, you have her to come back and set again for an examination under oath, and you start trying to see if you could ask questions to get her to give an inconsistent statement.
That's not true.
Okay.
I
But why
asked
would
if you'd
my,
like me
my
to.
question is first,
If you can just, if you're able to answer the questions with a yes or no, please do so.
Sure. Okay.
so my question is, why would Mr. Thuma that was present, who is the insurance agent or the insurance representative, Farm Bureau, right?
Yes.
He was present at both of these depositions, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So you get the answers that you are looking for under the examination under oath in the first setting. Why did you have to go back and have another examination under oath?
Well, as I stated earlier in my testimony,
Oh my God, did you see that? Okay, so this is the tone. This isn't the exact face. Like, I should send this clip to Mr. Moe, because the way this attorney is going to answer Mr. Kelly, who is this attorney, is that face you give with people that don't understand computers when you're trying to tell them about tech support. Mr. Moe is like, have you tried to turn on and off the computer? I mean, this man is trying not to go lose the tiny grip on Jesus he has next to him.
Under oath.
well, as I stated earlier in my testimony, we did questions about and surrounding the fire early on, and then we did a second examination under oath related to the claim and other financial information that we gathered during the course of the investigation.
But how would sex have anything to do when you're talking about just the claims or the amount of the losses? How would that have anything to do with that?
Well, I'd be happy to tell you.
Well,
I asked a premise question that said that you guys were doing some heavy
Lawyer rumble, lawyer rumble. Let's see, a good lawyer and a competent lawyer versus, well, Mr. Kelly. Let's see who's going to win this this battle of wits.
fighting that night because her story was starting to morph. And she said, well, we weren't really fighting. And I said, didn't he try to rape you? That's how that came up.
Okay, so you put the words in her mouth of didn't he try to rape you, and she said no.
I took what she described and summarized it with
You
the
summarized
word.
it in
Yes.
your opinion that that's what she was saying, that
Yes.
that's what was going to happen.
Yes, the story about when he was trying to pry her legs open
Yeah.
and rip her pants
You
off?
assumed that was rape.
Yes.
Sir, we would like to welcome you aboard the Petty Express as your conductress, Mo. I am glad to see another lawyer, step aboard the Petty Express, and you do it so well with just a smile on, because you can see bitch when I get my petty on. So this man just smiling and being petty, I love it. Welcome aboard, sir. I'll even let you toot the horn. Toot toot. See you later, Mr. Kelly.
You need to really focus on just answering the question and
Very
not speaking over the attorney.
Thank you, I will.
That's not an
Now,
evidence that this
what
man
did
is
you
actually
do
an attorney.
to verify these answers that you received from Ms. Stermer? Did you do any outside investigation with anyone else, whether it's the police department or the investigators or the state fire marshal, in reference to the information that you received before you wrote your letter to your insurance agent or your insurance company?
I gathered information from all kinds of sources, including the stuff that the police, whether it's state fire marshal or the county sheriff's department, were willing to give.
Yes.
The financial information, some stuff that we got from the insured, some stuff that we gathered on our own, things that the insurance company can access. So yeah, there was a number of things I looked at. Sure.
So were you able to verify that in the beginning of this claim, the very first inception of information that the Farm Bureau received, that it was not by Ms. Stermer?
What?
I have no idea what you mean by that.
Well, your file, were you able to find that Ms. Stermer was not the person that contacted the insurance company in reference to this loss?
You mean the first contact?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't recall if there was some sister involved. I don't know if the sister told her to make the claim or the sister made the claim on behalf of Todd, and then Linda got drawn into it. There was something like that, but that wasn't a real big issue for me, so I didn't.
But part of your examination under oath of the individual that you're examining is ultimately to determine whether or not this individual may have been making this claim because of some fraudulent basis.
Correct. To
All right.
see whether it was a financially motivated.
And if a person was going to commit fraud on an insurance claim, wouldn't they be the person that would reach out to their insurance company and say, I have a loss?
That calls for speculation.
Well,
You could ask him how often that happens or something like that, but the way the question's phrased right now is speculation.
Typically, if you're doing it for money, then that's one of the first things you take care of.
right.
Yeah.
And Ms. Stermer did not make that call or contact.
No, because she wanted to get rid of Todd. She was used to living in debt. She wanted to go live with Shaft. And again, if you people think I'm joking, this is Linda Stermer's man toy. This is Linda Stermer's, not in shining armor, shimmering armor. I will say I hated What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but I loved that little part of, where the mom's talking to Gilbert and she's like, you're my knight in shimmering armor. And he's like, Mom, you're dumb. It's shining armor. And she says, no, son, I'm not stupid. I know that shimmer means that sometimes you think it's gone all dull, but it's there. You just need to, wash it off and it'll shine bright again. Just, ugh. This man is driving me nuts to the point that I'm thinking of What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Anyone with Farm Bureau.
Correct. Immediately
Thank
after.
you.
Okay.
Could I have just a question for a second, Your Honor? You set a time for Ms. Stermer to appear at your office, is that correct?
I don't think they were at my office.
But did they do the examination on the oath, was it at your office?
No, typically we would rent a conference room in the county where the fire occurred.
But wherever the location was, it's
Yeah,
pretty
we
much
told her where to
controlled-
go, yes.
Controlled by you, date and time.
Yep.
And you communicated with Ms. Stermer as to when you wanted her to be there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, through her attorney.
Through her attorney?
Yes.
Right? And at each setting, Ms. Stermer appeared, is that correct? On the date and time that you all had arranged for, right?
Yes, I think there were a couple that got canceled, but yes, the the two statements, I mean, she was there, yeah, yeah.
And throughout the duration of both of these examinations under oath, Ms. Stermer fully cooperated with every question that was asked of her. Isn't that true?
She lied.
I would disagree with that.
Did she answer every question that was asked of her?
Yes, she did.
So anything else would be your opinion, right?
Sure, you can put it that way.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
I just want to clear up one thing, Your Honor. When you were talking about working with the great fire marshal or whoever, however you titled it.
Fire investigator.
Fire investigator. Who was that?
Jim Shinsky ran a nationally renowned fire school for years.
So that's who you were talking
I was
about?
talking about Mr. Shinsky, yes.
You weren't talking about anything that the state police had done or anything in terms of that statement?
When I said one of the best fire investigators, I was referring to Mr. Shinsky. We did also get information from the state police.
Okay, but that's not who you were talking about when you made that statement?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly, anything else?
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, questions of this witness, anyone? Yep, I got some hands going up.
Jury questions. How do you deal with it? You two are both attorneys. How are you the same species? When you have to deal with attorneys like Mr. Kelly, does it make you fear for your sanity? Ooh, that's a cute dress. Her court assistant always has the cutest outfits. I've just been in love with her cute, fresh style the whole trial.
Questions? In exhibit number 4, Linda's drawing, if you know, what does the van spot number 5 represent?
Tammy, I'm going to detour for 1 second. If this isn't a doctor that's going to listen to you and, at least attempt to hear you out, I know it is scary to try to go to a new doctor, but sometimes we have to be advocates for ourselves and, keep trying different doctors until we find someone that works. I am the worst to be telling you this information, though, as I have yet to find a new pain doctor, and I don't know that I'm going to look in this state anymore. But tell her she's fired. She's not the doctor for you. Anyone who's not going to listen to you and help you make the best health goals and health choices for you deserves to be fired. Yes.
I believe she told me that when she got to position 5 is when she decided that she should go behind the house. So 4 was at the fence line, 5 is apparently where she decided she couldn't back up, and 6 is when she went behind the house.
Thank you. Counsel, any questions in light of the question and answer, either side?
No, Your Honor.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Jury, any other questions of him? Me?
What you can do is make an appointment with her, explain everything that you felt that she didn't handle that. But if this is how she made you feel on your first initial appointment when she's supposed to be getting to know you, I would cut my losses and run. No, it's okay. If you're noticing that already she is not, willing to listen to you and take care and, make you feel like you have been listened to as far as your health, then cut and run. I know it's a new doctor. I know it's a bunch of pain in the ass, but sometimes especially for those of us with chronic conditions, we might have to kiss a bunch of frogs in order to find our prince doctor. And I wish we didn't have to, but that is what I'm slowly but surely learning. So if I have to be brave, I'll be brave with you. If you've got to be brave, I'll be brave with you. And then you can be brave with me when I'm looking through my doctors in my locality, because they suck too.
Will he be excused from his subpoena?
I have to please be excused, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You're all done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, now it looks like we are going next into one of Todd's brothers.
Decided?
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Brad Stermer to the stand, please.
And I'm really excited to hear from some of Todd's family to really get a more full idea of who and what Todd was about, kind of
Your Honor, may I
his
approach you, Brad?
life.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sir, before you have a seat, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat, and once settled in, we'll have you state your full name and spell the last, please.
My name is Brad Stermer, Stermer.
And then
Morning,
if you
Mr.
could
Stermer.
put that microphone close to your mouth so the jury
Okay.
can hear you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Stermer. Can you tell me how you know Todd Stermer?
Todd's my younger brother, was my younger brother.
And can you tell me if you know Linda Stermer?
I do.
How do you know her?
She was married to my brother, Todd.
And after the fire occurred on January 7th of 2007, did you have conversations with Linda Stermer about what had happened?
Yes,
Can you tell the jury what she told you?
yes. It was like 2 days or so after the fire when my whole family had gotten in town and we had gone over to the house where they were staying with friends. And we didn't have a lot of information on the fire or what happened. And so we asked her to sit down and explain what happened. And she sat down and I said, we need to get our head around this, what happened. And she said that she was down in the basement doing laundry and she heard Todd scream. And she came running up and the living room was on fire with a lot of smoke and she just turned and ran out the front door.
Did she tell you anything specifically about fire alarms?
Well, I'd ask her, I said, you didn't hear the fire alarms going off? I mean, their house, wasn't that big and I knew he had fire alarms in there because I'd helped him pull wire for it. And she said, oh, Todd dismantled them.
And so when you say you helped pull wire for them, what was your involvement on that house?
When I helped Todd probably, 6, 7 times over the years trying to build his house. And so at different stages of the development, I would be in town and I would help him. We were getting ready to do drywall, but you have to run the electrical wiring to the outlets and the boxes and so forth. So we were doing that. And I made a comment to him one time. I said, why don't you just buy those $20 battery ones? And he says, you can't. He says, it's code. You have to have it hardwired with a battery backup. And I said, oh.
Objection, hearsay.
I can rephrase the question.
Thank you, sustained.
So you helped him then in terms of putting those smoke detectors in?
I helped him get the wiring to where those were going to go because that was an additional.
And so at that time, all of these smoke detectors you helped were going to be hardwired?
Yeah.
It is leading, so if you could rephrase.
How were you then going to, were these the type of smoke detectors you were just going to put on the wall, or were they going to be hardwired?
No, they had to be hardwired because you have to meet the code, and the code says you have to have them wired to the electrical box.
Yeah, Mr. Moe would have a flippin' flapjack attack if we dismantled the hardwired, smoke detectors. I can't imagine anyone saying, yeah, no, it's okay to dismantle the, fire detectors. But sure, Linda.
And then any new development back then, it would have a battery backup, like a 9-volt battery with it. So yeah, even if you took the battery out, technically it would still work because it's still hardwired in.
Do you recall how many smoke detectors you helped him install, or how many per room?
I don't recall. It was a pretty good sized house, at least 4, from what I remember.
Were those 4 on the entire house or 4 on a level? Do you remember?
Well, it was because there was a bedroom in the basement that was all floors, and there was a loft bedroom. So, that was on every floor that we ran wire to hook up.
So you said when you had this conversation with Linda, it was a few days after the fire?
Yeah.
And can you describe what her demeanor was when you were having this conversation with her?
She was, appeared to be upset, but she was able to talk with us until I asked her about the fire alarms, and then she got up and left the room.
Did you then try to ask her any more questions?
We couldn't because she left the room, and we didn't want to upset her anymore at that time.
So you said you had assisted in helping Todd build that home. What did you assist with?
I helped him. I was there the first day when we framed the first wall, in the basement. So I started the first day, but I helped him with windows. I helped him with drywall, helped him with wiring, help dig a trench, whatever I could do when I was in town to help him,
Do you have a background in construction?
No.
And so why were you helping? What was your knowledge of construction?
Well, over the years, I've owned some houses and I've done it, and I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I just like to do that kind of work, and I like, he's my brother. I want to help him. I've helped mostly family and friends. I don't do it for a living or anything, but I do enjoy working with my hands.
Had Todd had Todd remodeled and built things before?
Oh, yeah, he was pretty good at it. He did jobs. I mean, I know not just for friends and family, but for other people. I mean, so he was a much better carpenter than I was.
Do you know if those smoke detectors were inspected after you helped?
I don't know that. I know he said, the inspection was coming.
I can move on, Your Honor.
Yep.
Were you aware that Todd and Linda had financial issues?
I knew they weren't living the high life, yeah.
Were you aware of any money that they had borrowed from family?
Yeah, I had loaned Todd some money.
Did you ever see Todd and Linda fight before?
Not fight, but he would get, to the point where he was a little annoyed where they're like, Linda, we're busy here, we're working on the house, and she'd come in and start rattling off about something, and we're trying to put up a 10-foot sheet of drywall. It was, not convenient. So he didn't yell at her like, get out of here. He's just like, we're busy right now.
So did you ever see him have any physical violence between them?
No,
Did Linda appear afraid of Todd?
no.
Were you involved, you talked about remodeling with Todd, were you involved in remodeling a house with Todd? I believe that was it your father?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that house?
Yeah, it was in our family. It was the little house, we call it the little yellow house. It was the next door to where we lived and grew up. And it was a rental. My dad always rented it, kept it rental. And so when my dad had a stroke and was still in rehab, Todd said, let's fix up the little yellow house and I'll move my family in there, and then I can keep an eye on Dad and help him out. And so we started, it was vacant, had been vacant for a while, so it was pretty rough shape. And so we started with roofing and drywall and so forth.
And were you aware if Todd and Linda had ever moved into that house?
No.
And did your father still live in the big house?
Yes.
And did something happen with your father?
Yeah, he passed away, and so we stopped the work for the most part. But I think Todd was thinking, we got this far, we're almost done. But he decided, he wanted to see if he could buy my dad's house for my sisters and I.
Would that have been the little house or the big house?
The big house, I'm sorry.
So
it would have been all of them. It would have been the whole.
The entire property?
Right, property.
And so did Todd and Linda move into the big house?
Yes.
And they were living in there?
Yes.
And at that time, were you then still working on the remodeling of the little house?
No, I was not involved at that time.
Okay. And you still had an interest in the property?
No.
A financial interest?
No, I did not.
Okay. And that was your father's property?
That was my dad's property.
And do you recall how much work you guys did on that house?
We did a lot of work, and and at that time I was just, not too far out of college, so I mean, we were, it wasn't like we were buying the best of the best, but yeah, with the roofing and stuff, we were kind of putting our nickels together to do stuff,
Did you have to do drywall and?
Yeah.
So
The roof leaked, so the first thing we had to do was get the roof fixed, and so we redid the roof, and then we started, with the drywall.
And so how much did you have to tear out?
Well, it was a mess. I mean, had been vacant for a while, and so it was quite a bit. I mean, we didn't have a dumpster yet, but we had tarp, and we were throwing stuff out, and with the insulation and old drywall and stuff like that.
And so you had to put in all new drywall?
Yeah.
All new flooring?
Yeah, I didn't do any of the flooring, but I did help them with a lot of the drywall.
And Todd and Linda were living in the big house at that time?
No, at the time when we were working in the yellow house, no one lived. My dad wasn't even there yet. He was still in rehab, I think, after his stroke, and so he was coming home, and we were trying to hurry up and get the little house
Have
built.
fun with
or
that.
livable.
Squid pro quo. Yay, new car. Enjoy these couple of hours where it has no Cheerios in it. It will never happen again.
So I don't know where they were living at that time.
At some point, did they move into the big house?
Yes, they did.
And you still had your father's estate still owned the little house?
Yes.
And did something happen to that house?
Yeah, it burned down months later.
And was it just the little house?
Yeah,
And at that time, were Todd and Linda living in the big house?
yeah, they were.
And you had said most of the work was already done at that point?
Yeah,
Was Todd a physically fit guy?
very athletic, and still played softball and did, he was basketball. He was still very much into sports and very much, active. He worked for a living with his hands, so he was very physically fit.
Have you had any other conversations with Linda other than just the few days after the fire?
No.
Had you been to Todd and Linda's house before it burned down?
That's what's alleged.
Several times?
Oh, yeah.
Were you there close to the time that it did burn?
We were there at Christmas. We went over there for Christmas several weeks before.
And can you talk about whether there was a trail on the, if I'm looking at the house, it would have been to the north side, on the right-hand side, was there a trail or a path going down?
No. When they were building the house, and it was all dirt, and we could drive around the side, but it was a pretty good hill, and there was clay in that soil, so if it were wet or rainy, you wouldn't want to go down there because you need a four-wheel drive to get back up. But after they got the house pretty much built and living there, he had graded it, and it was yard, essentially grass.
It was yard at that time?
Yeah.
So used during construction, but then, to
Yeah,
your knowledge,
after that, yeah.
once the house was done,
Yeah, there was no trailer.
and it was all graded and
Yeah.
lawn? I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Morning, Mr. Stermer.
I wonder if I do wonder if the defense attorney Mr. Wolf will manage to, be a human being and question the, decedent's brother with kindness, or at least not be a total dick.
When you talked to Linda Stermer, this was within 48 hours of her losing her husband, correct?
How about that, yeah.
You losing your brother? Yes?
Yes.
And the family, including you and Linda and Todd's sons, were there at her friend's
Yes.
house? Would that be Kate Swift?
I believe that was her name, yeah.
Your mom was there.
Yes.
Obviously, Linda Stermer was emotionally distraught,
Yes.
as were you, having lost your brother 48 hours ago,
Yeah, we had a lot of questions.
as were her sons. Yes? Everybody was emotionally distraught. It was a very emotional time, given the loss.
Yes.
She told you that she was in the basement and she heard Todd
Yes.
scream and she ran up the stairs.
Oh, sorry, let's go, Brandon. Yes, allegedly. Now, the state doesn't really have to prove the order of which these things happened, but looking at all the evidence, I think that Linda got him either when he was tired or disoriented or somehow incapacitated. He was so deeply asleep or something that she was able to pour gasoline near his clothes on him and was able to light a match or something before he was able to defend himself. She runs outside. She assumes that, he's dead already. And when she sees him, go out of however he got out of the house, she realizes this is going to be bad if he lives. So she ran him over. I mean, now, do I think that she was trying to maybe help him? No, I don't. She doused him with gasoline and lit a match, or left him in a room with a open fireplace and open flame candles until the vapors got, thick enough and it went up. So I don't know. I am glad the derp isn't questioning, but yes, that is the general consensus. Now, the state's original theory in the first trial was that she had hit him on the head with a frying pan, incapacitated him, doused him with gasoline, and that's why he had those head wounds. But I think that the head wounds are maybe more related to him either falling downstairs or something to try to get out and being hit by the van. That being said, he didn't have a lot of deep, bone fractures, internal injuries for having been run over by a 1993 Econoliner van.
There's correct?
Yes.
And after that, when she got emotionally distraught, she went somewhere into another room and no more conversations about the fire.
Yes.
And no more conversation since then with Linda?
No.
Fair?
Fair.
These smoke alarms, you said, let me make sure if I get this right, you would help Todd build the house. Took a lot of years, probably 7 or 8 years.
I helped with different phases of the house, yeah.
Were you out of state?
I lived in the Upper Peninsula.
Okay. So you would come down on occasion, and if you had time, you would help Todd on the weekends?
Yes.
It was him mostly building the house, correct?
Yeah, doing whatever he needed help with.
Okay. You were not any type of licensed electrician, am I right?
No.
You're good with your hands, and you say you're a good handyman, right?
I'm adequate.
All right. You were not a licensed electrician, neither was Todd.
No.
Am I right?
Right.
And you helped wire the alarm system, do the electrical for the
I didn't
smoke
wire
alarm?
it, we just pulled the wire so that we could get, like, the electrical boxes before we put the drywall up, you have to, but we never wired anything. I never wired anything.
Okay, that was up to Todd.
That was, yes.
Did you actually install these hardwired smoke detectors?
No.
When Linda told you, and you asked her about how come the smoke alarms didn't go off, remember you told us that?
Yes.
Linda told you they weren't working or something, and
She
Todd,
said Todd had dismantled them.
okay. You don't have any evidence to help us to disagree with that, am I right?
Well, the people, my mom and sisters that were in the room would corroborate that.
Understood. But you don't have any evidence that suggests that Todd did not disconnect the smoke alarms, am I right?
Right.
You and Todd were close as brothers,
Yeah, we got along good.
but he frustrated you in terms of his financial irresponsibility, didn't he?
Not so much Todd, but Linda.
Do you recall telling a police officer that Todd didn't like to work a 40-hour week?
I don't recall that. He was not a traditional 9-to-5 guy,
Okay. He didn't like to punch a time clock, right?
right?
He didn't like to go to work every day where he had to get up and put in a full day's work, right?
No,
Am I right?
no,
I'm not right?
you're not right.
Okay, can I approach? Thank you. I'm going to show you, sir, a report based on an interview you did with a Van Buren County detective. I want you to read that orange highlighted paragraph.
He was a good carpenter.
No, you read it yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Does that refresh your memory that you told the detective that Todd did not like working a job where he must get up every day and go to a certain job? As he described, punching a time clock.
right.
Okay. So that is what you told him.
That's right.
And he was, Todd, you had loaned him money, correct?
Yes,
Your mom had loaned him money, correct?
yes.
Your sister had loaned him money, correct?
I believe it both at times, yeah.
Did there come a time where you had a family vacation on a lake where, near Delton, Michigan, remember that?
Yeah,
Family got together?
Yeah.
You and Todd went out on a boat?
yeah,
And you were having an argument?
yeah.
And it was about financial irresponsibility of Todd,
There was a lot of things that were being discussed at that time.
including his financial irresponsibility?
We talked about that, yes.
Was Todd I'm going to say, do-it-yourselfer like you?
Yes.
Did you have any understanding that he had some kind of professional electrical degree?
No, I know he worked for an electrician at one time and an apprentice.
He was never a journeyman, to your
No,
knowledge?
he was not a licensed electrician.
And he was not a licensed mechanical guy,
He was not.
HVAC?
No.
But he was the one primarily putting up the house, correct?
He pretty much designed and built the whole thing, yes.
Then let's talk about how this house that used to be your father's, am I right?
Yes.
The yellow house, you said?
Yes.
Okay. How long did that construction take?
I don't remember for sure, but once we decided that he was going to move in there with his family, we were under a timeline because my dad was in rehab from a stroke, and so he was going to be coming home. I don't recall how long, but it was a short time.
Are we talking the remodeling took a month?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Did it involve electrical?
I was not involved in any electrical.
Would it be fair to say, were you up north at the time?
I lived up north, yeah. No, I lived here in Kalamazoo at the time of the Little Yellow House.
All right, we'll talk about the Little Yellow House. You lived in Kalamazoo, but primarily Todd was responsible for the remodeling, would that be fair?
Yeah, well, I was, yeah.
Secondarily, you.
You're right.
Okay. And this house burned, you said, within months of the remodeling that Todd was primarily responsible for? Is that right?
I don't remember exactly. It was in November, so I don't know when we stopped working on it. But my dad passed away, I believe, in July. So yeah,
So within 5 or 6 months, fair?
I guess yes.
And this house that Todd was primarily responsible for remodeling, do you know what the cause of the fire was?
No.
Did Todd ever tell you what the cause of the fire was?
Yeah, he said.
I guess I'd object, Your Honor, that's hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not offered for the truth of the matter, sir. It's just whether he made the statement of what the cause was, not offered for the truth of the cause. We don't know what the cause was, or if he knew the truth of the cause, just what his opinion was.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
But in any event, it was an accidental fire,
Yeah.
as far as you knew,
Yeah.
based on his remodeling of the house.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second, Your Honor. Just to clarify something, sir. This was the house that Todd was going to, I thought Todd was single at the time.
No, Linda was part of that.
He was going to move the family in, he wasn't going to flip the house.
No, my dad was gonna live in the big house and he could live right next door and help him out.
Okay. And then it burned, and that didn't happen, fair?
No, they had already moved into the big house because my dad passed away.
Understood.
So then they moved, so the little house was vacant.
Okay. So when the little house burned, it was vacant. Did it get rebuilt?
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. When you were visiting at Christmas time, did you see those smoke detectors in the home?
Yeah.
And did it appear that they were hanging or?
No, they were up and he had a fire in the fireplace too. So I mean, it wasn't like it was smoking or nothing, but yeah, there was nothing.
And I just want to clarify, when you had your conversation with Linda 2 days after the fire, I think you had testified that she said that she did not see Todd when she came upstairs. Is that correct?
Yeah, she said it was too smoky and, fire, and she just turned and ran outside.
And is that when you asked her about the smoke detectors?
Said, it seemed to me that, yeah, what about the fire alarms going off, because she said she was in the basement. So
And at that time, that's when she left. Is that correct?
she said, yeah, he dismantled them and then she got up and left.
What did you mean when you said Todd wasn't the type of guy to punch the time clock?
He was more of he liked the sales component. He liked to wheel and deal, and he was, he could make more money at it in a shorter period of time than a 9-to-5 job, so.
What else did you talk about on Lake Michigan with your brother?
Talked about a lot of things. We talked about the horse problem, the horses that she had and so forth,
So was that part of when you said Linda frustrated you with regard to the horses? Was that part of that conversation?
Well, yeah, I didn't see her really pulling her own weight to help the family kind of get together. I never saw her work on the house when I was down or anything like that. She was really never around when I came down to help.
What was your frustration with the horses?
I think they had like 30, horses, and horses are expensive, and most of them you couldn't ride.
You couldn't ride the 30
them.
horses?
Yeah, these were horses she was gathering from all over the country. She'd go out to the Dakotas or wherever and drag these horses back.
One, it's not in response to question two, based on hearsay.
I think they're from the defendant's statements of where they're coming from, Your Honor.
Overrule that objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you said Linda would go places to pick up these horses?
Yes,
And you couldn't ride them?
not very many.
And what did she do with them?
Objection, foundation.
This sounds like a deeply selfish woman. Linda had her wants. She had a house with land. She had, horses. Again, there are things that I would love to be able to do, myself, different hobbies, different things. But I use my fun money. I use money that's allocated as, kind of F around money. I think Mr. Mo budgets it, and we get a certain amount, each of us, it's equal, that we can go spend if we want to go out to eat McDonald's every morning, or, something pops up that we want to get something. It's our fun money, and you can save it or you can do whatever. But the fact that she invested so much of the family resources into something that was a net drain, that these horses didn't even have a barn to go into for shelter. I mean, this is Michigan. could be crazy, but I'm guessing you guys still get snow and inclement weather and things that horses need to go inside and have warmth and shelter and things like that. I mean, this is incredibly selfish and impulsive behavior that takes into regard no one else in the family.
You could lay the foundation of.
Did you
if
know what
knows.
she was doing with these horses?
No.
Did you have a chance to view these horses?
To view them?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Did you spend some time around those horses?
Yeah, I rode them. We tried to ride them a couple times.
And when you say, I guess I don't understand, why would you not be able to ride a horse?
They were wild. They weren't trained horses. They weren't, daily interaction with people.
So were
The
they?
what now?
Did Linda
This chick had a wild Mustang ranch? Like, what the hell is going on here? I am all the confused. Oh, JK Debug, I am not trying to sound stupid, but do you just like go hunt the horses down in the wild and bring them back home if no one tells you you can't? I am so confused. I mean, like, I watched Young Riders, but I don't remember, and that's been a long time, and Emilio Estevez was young. So, I don't know that I remember much about horseology.
Linda tell you she was keeping them as pets? Did she tell you that she just wanted them? What was the purpose of these horses from her standpoint? Did she tell you what the purpose of these horses were? Thank you.
No.
And your frustration was over then the finances of the horses?
Well, it was about helping the family, helping Todd, helping the kids. I mean, and so we didn't see any real value to having that many horses. I mean, to feed them, make hay in the summer, shoe them if you need to, deworm them. I mean, I don't know that much about horses, but I have a friend that has horses, and I talked to him about it, and he's like, 30 horses, that's crazy.
I'll strike that.
I'll
That's
sustain
fine.
that objection.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Let me just follow up. You wouldn't know the reason why Linda Stermer had various types of horses, correct?
It never was clear to me.
Because she was a selfish C word? You're a mom. Like, look, I am not trying to mom shame around here. And yes, I have plenty of my crafty craft projects that I do. I have my hobbies that I enjoy. But never do I, sink a good chunk of the family's resources into a hobby that is not going to be profitable. There is no way. Now, granted, I say that when, in all reality, YouTubing is a semi-profitable hobby right now. I do, intend to run it as a business one day, unintentionally. Or intentionally, I don't know. But that being said, I guess I can't really, rail too much about, someone, investing heavily into a hobby when I have invested heavily into my hobby. But I feel like I just, ugh. Yeah, and, having someone in your family who doesn't ever think about tomorrow and constantly needs to get bailed out leads to a lot of resentment and a lot of, bad feelings. And just a lot of things, if you don't have a contract, if you don't have all of the things hammered out, it can go really ugly really fast.
And these smoke alarms, when you hardwire something to disable them, it's not as simple as just simply getting on a ladder and taking a battery out, right?
It would still be active if it's wired to the box.
Right. You have to do something more to disable it.
Yes.
Something that
Probably have to trip the breakers.
Todd would know how to do.
Sure.
Okay. And you, when you were over at Christmas, you wouldn't even know if they were working or not, right?
They weren't hanging down.
No, they don't hang down. They're attached to a wall. You wouldn't know if they were operative or not. Fair?
Fair.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Jury, do you have any questions of this witness? I see one. You have one? Okay. Another one's being written, it looks like.
I do wonder what they're going to ask questions. I do wonder if they're going to get a lot into what he felt about Linda's actions since the crime. I do wonder if they're going to try to get that, because it is very clear that this man has had very little contact with Linda. I think a lot of people got red flags from his family that something was not right from the very jump of this case.
Questions from the jury?
I'm still trying to
When you
figure
were
out
at
where
the
she's
house for
sitting,
Christmas,
with her
what was
mom
the
or not.
state of the living room floor? Was it carpeted, finished, or something else?
It wasn't carpeted or anything, it wasn't finished. There was a area rug, more like the center of the room, kind of.
To the best of your knowledge, if you know, did Linda like
Okay,
her dogs?
Wait. Okay, now, I know I have just said that they done all had the gasoline and everything, but I do want to throw one little theory out there. Now, if you remember, both Todd and other people, so not just Linda has corroborated this, but other witnesses that were inside the house during construction. According to both Linda and Todd and other people that helped with construction, there was a kerosene lamp that sometimes spilled onto the subflooring. So it didn't have any flooring, so it's just that ply kind of particle board subflooring, where they said that they used a kerosene heater that would sometimes spill fuel on it. Now, I'm not taking away that Linda bought gas and that, his clothes were all covered in gas, but I was laboring under the assumption that they had flooring on the floor, and therefore, whenever the house, whenever the flooring started to catch fire, it wouldn't have immediate contact with that kerosene remnant. But if it did, I mean, that could be part of the reason that this house in that area went so incredibly fast. That being said, I still don't think Linda didn't do it. It's getting more closer to Linda done did it than Linda did nothing for me.
I believe she did.
Any questions, counsel?
Just one.
Okay.
Did Todd love that house?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Mueller, any?
I don't have any questions, thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Can he be excused from his subpoena?
I would ask that you please be excused, Your Honor.
Any objection, defense?
No objection.
Okay. So you're excused from your subpoena obligations. Thank you.
Okay, and now we are on to Loverboy. And Mr. Brad Stermer, I know that it's not easy to get up there and have the worst aspects of your relative, paraded out there and, misrepresented. And I can just tell you that as a mom, I bet your mom is so proud of you for standing up on the stage, or not the stage, the stand, and, giving a voice to your brother, for trying to find justice again for your brother. Because really think about this. This family is now going through a second trial. Now, I get it. I want Linda to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I want there to be no legal shenanigans this time. Because this man has already had to testify before. That mom has already had to testify before. This is not something new to them. Linda, I got so many questions.
Good morning. Be careful with the step there. If you raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. Take your time and have a seat. And once you're settled in, we'll have you give us your full name and spell the last part.
Chris Henry Williams, Williams.
And then, Mr. Williams, if you can move that microphone closer to your mouth so the jury can hear you, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Ms. Ivey?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning.
Mr. Williams, where did you work in 2006?
Kimberly,
And at the time of your employment, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Linda Stermer?
yes, I did.
And how did you come in contact with her at work?
Coworker.
You were co-workers? And do you recall when she started there?
No, I do not.
And then do you know when you started there?
Yeah, in 2003.
In 2003. And can you tell me then what
And Eon Dobb, it has been explained, and from what I have just skimmed through the documents, and I will be making a video probably towards the end of this trial, just going over those documents, but it was because of a lack of effective counsel. So basically, at no time during her first trial did her lawyers object to anything, even when there were objectable things. There were also some issues with expert witnesses. So the three-judge panel decided to go ahead and overturn that conviction without prejudice, which means that Linda was eligible for retrial, and she got a retrial. Now, whether she can argue ineffective, assistance of counsel again, I think she can only with Mr. Kelly. I don't think that Mr. Mueller, as much as I don't like his style, he has been fairly effective.
Was your involvement with Ms. Stermer when she started working there?
None.
None? And at some point, did that change?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury kind of what changed?
Well, normally I was a truck driver, and excuse me, when I was not driving truck, I worked in the shop, and we just happened to work side by side one day.
And what happened? Did you start a conversation?
Yes, in general, just about small talk.
And then how did that proceed?
Well, she kind of was telling me her situation about marriage, and
I'm going to stop you. You said she was talking about her situation with marriage.
yes,
What was she saying?
I can't exactly say, but it was on the line of her marriage wasn't working and she was getting a divorce.
So she was telling you her marriage wasn't working and she was getting a divorce.
Yes,
So did you talk a lot that day?
not a lot.
And then when would be the next time you'd start talking?
Well,
Hell, just like random coworker, Joe coworker Schmo, works at your station next to you, and you're going to tell them all about your dirty laundry and how your marriage is bad? I mean, I don't know you from Adam. Actually, considering I tend to verbally diarrhea all over retail workers, I could explain all of this to a coworker. But that being said, you have got to be kidding. Yes, Bond James. This is Linda's lover. Yes, the one that she was cheating on Todd with. You guys, what is going on here? I don't think these glasses are complimentary to him. I am confused about how wide he has his handlebar mustache going and how it doesn't connect to his... I'm confused about so many things about this man. From facial hair to glasses to hooking up with Linda. Sir, you got a lot of splaining to do.
when I left, when we parted that day, we were kind of interested in each other, but I found out she was married, and I told her that if she's single, if I'm single and she got a divorce, maybe we could do something, and I left it at that.
And then, did you hear from her after that?
Yes, because a coworker gave her my phone number without my permission.
A coworker gave your phone number to Ms. Stermer without your permission?
Yes,
Did he tell you he did?
after the fact,
And then what happened?
she just started blowing up my phone
So she started blowing up your phone?
and stalking me.
And when you say she was stalking, what do you mean?
Well, I got
Linda, did you go fatal attraction on this man? This man... Ooh, she hates this man with a vengeance. Ooh. Ooh, if that wasn't a Meryl Streep look right there. Ooh. She has a hate boner for this man.
got out of work one day and stopped at the grocery store, and she was there in the parking lot.
At the grocery store?
Yes,
And did you talk to her at the grocery store?
briefly.
Do you remember what you said in the grocery store?
No, I do not.
And when she would call, would you answer the phone?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you have conversations?
yes.
What kind of conversations were you having at that time?
I can't really say, but it was kind of shocking. I was dumbfounded, like, why are you calling me? You know, what is your purpose? Kind of conversation.
Well, were you in, but you had stated previously that you were interested and she was interested?
When I first seen her, I didn't know anything about her, just for visually, not personally, you know.
So you had a physical attraction.
He's like, look, she had a beautiful ass. I didn't know she was crazy. What is your purpose? I am going to start answering the phone like that. Hello, what is your purpose? I'm going to get a lot of interesting phone reactions from telemarketers. I swear to goodness.
Traction.
Right.
And so then as you started talking, did you ever meet then outside of work?
Yes.
And how long did that take?
It went on a couple of months before we did.
Do you know what year that was?
06?
06? And so after you had been talking for a while, after you'd seen her at work, can you tell me then what activities you guys started doing together?
Well, joyriding, going to museums, just normal stuff that people do when they first encounter each other.
So it was dates.
How does one go on first dates when one is married? I don't know. I feel like there'd be an Emily post for that. I love how they went joyriding, though. Did you listen? Oh my God, please tell me you listened to Tracy Chapman's You Got a Fast Car. I got a husband somewhere around here. Maybe we'll just leave him alone. Light him on fire and get out of here. Look, it's not a good song. Sorry, Tracy Chapman.
Kind of, sort of.
You took her to museums, right?
Yes.
Where were those museums at?
I think in Grand Rapids.
Did you go to dinner?
I can't know.
Take her to lunch?
No, not really.
No? You guys just went places together and joyriding?
Yeah, it was kind of awkward because I wasn't comfortable.
Why were you not comfortable?
I'm not into married women.
But yet you were still interested, right?
No, not really. She was just popping up. She was just there.
And you went on dates with her?
Yeah.
He's like, ma'am, I was trying to get into the high occupancy vehicle lane and Linda was there, so I didn't need to lie to the officer. This poor man was like, Linda was stalking me. And you know what's sad is I almost believe him. I do. Like, I even tried to go to a museum and Linda was there. Like, this poor man, I feel sorry for him now. We were making fun of him, and this poor woman just clung to him like a barnacle.
And so, at some point,
she
did
did
your
a slow
relationship
blink,
turn
too.
physical?
Yes.
And when did that start turning physical?
I say maybe into, well, she stuck me for a couple of months. I say maybe about a month and a half. It was kind of weird.
About a month and a half into spending time together?
Yeah.
How often were you spending time together?
I can't really say because we worked together and she would show up after work. So I'd say maybe a couple times a week or something like that.
And would that be a couple times you'd see her outside of work?
Yes.
And then you'd see each other probably almost every day at work?
At work.
Okay. And when you would see each other after work, did you
Anne Catherine Boyson, well, I guess she was popping up after a fashion, after 1.5 months. Well, KLF, if this crazy woman's going to be stalking you, you might as well see some boobs, I guess, was his kind of general equation there. Also, if she's married and you're uncomfortable, you just tell her to leave you alone.
continue to talk about her marriage?
No, not on the regular. It was kind of weird. There wasn't much of conversation. Well, actually, it was all over the place.
So you didn't really talk too much about her marriage at that time?
Did y'all talk at all, or were trowels just dropped? Was this like a hot and spicy thing? Because, sir, I'm confused at you right now because you have this woman who stalks you like a crazy person and then you proceed to sleep with her. I don't understand, men. Like, when women have shown themselves to be utterly crazy and yet you still stick it in them, look, man, I don't know. Good Lord. Ew. But probably true.
No,
Did she ever tell you she had left him or got divorced?
no.
So was she still with him? Did you know?
Yes, she was still with him.
And When your relationship turned physical, you started having sex, correct?
Yes,
And where would you typically have sex with her?
at my house.
At your house? And you don't have to tell me your address, but what town did you live in?
Kalamazoo.
And did you continue to communicate with her regularly?
Yes.
How many times a week would you get together and have sex?
Well, it wasn't really all about sex, but maybe a couple
Couple times you had sex, or a couple times a week?
times a week.
Were you aware if she had more than one phone?
No.
No? You just had one phone number that you talked to her on?
Well, yes. Well, she would talk to me on. She called me when I called her.
Were you afraid her husband would find out?
Yes.
Did you ever talk about that?
Well, yes and no.
What do you mean yes and no?
I was trying to figure out what was her motive with dealing with me.
To be with you?
What was her motive? I mean, why would you want to be with someone that you married?
Did she ever tell you why she wanted to be with you?
No.
But she still kept calling, right?
She kept showing up.
She kept coming to your house.
Yes.
Linda, you were thirsty. You were thirsty, ma'am. Ma'am. Like, if you were that thirsty for Todd, there wouldn't have been that, many issues with your relationship. Daggone, lady. Like, seriously. I mean, the way this man tells it, like, he just shows up at his house and Linda's naked in his house. Just like, what is going on? And why is it never people? Look, from now on, I'm imagining Linda as, well, Sybil Shepherd and Mr. Christopher over there as Samuel L. Jackson. This is the only way we're going to get through this from now on.
Was there any time that she talked to you about Todd coming to her place of work?
No.
No? So you were never informed of him showing up at work unexpectedly?
No.
Did she talk to you about having plans of leaving him?
Yes.
So at that time, did you still think she was thinking she was going to leave him?
Yes.
How long were you guys together before the fire?
Well, we wasn't really together, but we was done with each other probably six months.
About 6 months before the fire?
Yes.
And at some point, did you become aware of what had happened with the fire?
I was watching the news on the Sunday.
So she didn't tell you about it? You saw it on the news?
Yes.
And then did you ask her about it?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say?
She told me briefly how it started.
What did she say?
She said she was in the downstairs laundry room doing laundry, and they was arguing back and forth, and she heard a change in the tone of her voice and his voice, and she ran upstairs to go see about him, and then upstairs was engulfed in flames. So she left, got in the van, and go get help.
Did she tell you anything else?
Nope.
Did she tell you if Todd made it out of the house?
Nope.
How long did you continue to have a relationship with Ms. Stermer after that fire occurred?
I do believe it ended before Christmas.
So if this fire happened in January 7th of 07, are you talking about the Christmas after?
No, I'm sorry. It was up until the Friday before the fire, I remember.
Your relationship ended the Friday before the fire?
No, it didn't end. She was at my house the Friday before the fire.
So she was at your house that Friday?
Yes.
How long then did you continue to spend time together after the fire?
Maybe a month or so.
At some
A month, dude. Her husband got runned over. Like, all, like, I mean, sir, she has already shown that she will be all crazy. Look, I will never get it. I will never get it.
point the relationship ended?
Yes.
Did you end it?
Her lawyer.
Oh, sorry, I didn't stop you there. So was it more of a mutual ending?
No, it was more or less, her lawyer told us we should not be seeing each other, that she shouldn't be seeing me.
That's what she told you?
Yes.
And
When your lawyer has to tell you not to see your secret lover right after your husband dies because it's going to look all sorts of bad, what in the nexus of ridiculousness did this okay.
was there, when you were looking back at the days prior to the fire and your time spent with Ms. Stermer, was there anything that she told you about any sort of arguments that happened between her and her husband?
No.
Was there any conversation about a truck?
It was a conversation about a Blazer thing or something.
Okay.
I've never seen any vehicle that they own or had other than the black Blazer and the van.
Did she ever talk to you about a vehicle that Todd sold?
It was a vehicle that he traded in on the van.
And then did she tell you how she felt about him trading that in?
She was upset.
And when was this in relation to the fire?
I can't remember when she told me, but that Friday she left my house, she was pretty upset.
She was upset? And what, she was upset about this truck?
I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't a normal visit like it normally would be.
What made it not like a normal visit?
She was upset.
And when you say she was upset, what was she doing?
Well, I guess it's about the van, the truck that he traded in without her permission.
Was she angry?
Yes.
Was that a different emotion that you had seen from her?
I'd never seen that side of her before.
You never saw that side of her before?
Never.
So the Friday before the fire, you saw a different side of her?
Yes.
And you would describe it as?
Angry, upset, however.
So through this time frame of 6 to 8 months, you had seen Linda Stermer without any clothes on, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever see any marks or anything on her?
No.
Any bruises or
No.
black eyes, cuts?
No.
Nothing?
No.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Hill?
Oh, no, no. Dear God, two people I can barely understand. Oh, Lord.
Mr. Williams, you stated that you were employed at, or are you still employed at Chemlink? Is that the name of the company?
No, I'm not.
Okay, but in reference to the matter that you testified on direct, you were employed at Chemlink,
Yes.
and where's Chemlink located at?
At the time, it was in Schoolcraft.
Beg your pardon?
At the time, it was in Schoolcraft, Michigan,
And how long had you been employed there?
since 2003.
Okay. And you stated you was a truck driver, right?
Yes, local,
And what shift did you work?
day shift.
Day shift?
Yes,
Is that considered the first shift?
yes.
Yes. Do you recall the time when Ms. Stermer began working there?
When she started working there, we was in Kalamazoo.
Was where?
The company was small, and we had 2 or 3 different buildings. We stored the raw material in one building, and we made it in another, and I transported to shipping. My job was to transport materials back and forth.
So Ms. Stermer didn't work at the same location where you was a truck driver at, is that right?
Yes, she did. In one of the facilities, I said it was 3.
Okay, now, idiot lawyer, he is a truck driver. Now, as a truck driver, he's going to go between these different facilities. So yes, while he works at the same company that Linda does, he is in, transportation of materials. So he's going to go from facility to facility. His inability to grasp concepts is just maddening.
3 facilities on the
Yes.
same,
There was a storage where we stored the raw materials. My job was to transport the raw materials to the building, which we made it at, and then once it got packaged, I drove it to Ransom Street, which is on the north side, to be shipped out.
so which facility did Ms. Stermer work at?
The one on Factory Street, where they made the material.
And is it called a particular name?
It was part of Kimley.
Yeah.
The company grew, that's how we ended up moving out to Schoolcraft under one roof. So everything got transported out there.
Okay. What shift did Ms. Stermer work?
First.
First shift? Are
It
you
was,
sure?
it was only first shift when I was there.
So it's not a second shift?
No, not at that time.
You don't know exactly when Ms. Stermer started working there, though, right?
Not the exact date.
Well, what month? What year?
06.
What month?
Probably June, July, somewhere around that, summertime.
Great job. A1 lawyering.
So if you're a truck driver, and Ms. Stermer's working in a facility where she's working inside, is that correct? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And was part of your job to be in the same building where Ms. Stermer was working?
Yes, when I was not transporting materials, I worked in the shop,
Okay. Doing what?
packaging.
And was she also packaging?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all work next to each other?
One particular day.
Just one day?
Yes, side by side, yes.
Okay.
I was a truck driver, so I wasn't stationary.
Okay. And so after this one particular day, you stated that someone gave Ms. Stermer your telephone number?
Yes, I had a company phone at the time.
Who was that person that gave her your telephone number?
Mike Buchanan.
Mike who?
Buchanan.
Buchanan.
She tricked him into giving him, she asked him, well, what he told me,
Well, now I want to know what she told you. But you said that Mike Buchanan gave your telephone number to Ms. Stermer. Is that
yes,
correct?
because she asked him for
No,
it.
but you don't know that, but you, now, what month did you get a call from Ms. Stermer in reference to?
I can't say
You can't say,
what month.
okay? Did you ever go out to lunch with Ms. Stermer?
No,
Did you ever go on a break at the company facility on break?
no.
When was the first time that Ms. Stermer contacted you by phone? Do you know what month and year that was?
It was the same day. That
The
we
same
worked-
day?
Same day we worked side by side.
So did you go home and then you got a
I
call
was
from
on
Ms.
my
Stermer?
way home.
And you got a call from Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you and her have a conversation while y'all was working side by side with each other?
Just that one day. Yes.
But y'all had a conversation?
Yes.
Did she have a conversation with you about her marriage at that day? On that
Yes,
day?
in general, yes.
Somebody you'd never seen before, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, you just started having a conversation. She's telling you about her marriage. Is that right?
We had seen each other, but we never worked side by side.
But I know, but this is the first time you said that you've had a conversation with her about.
It's the first time I had a conversation. It wasn't the first time I seen her.
Yeah. But just the first day that you're working side by side with her, she tells you about problems with her marriage. Is that your testimony?
Not problems, but in general.
Did you ask her, was she married?
I knew she was married
How did you know that?
from coworkers. The lady that got her hired.
So the lady that got her hired told you that she was married? Mm-hmm. Why would she tell you she was married?
Because I was physically, not physically, I was attracted to her.
You was physically attracted to her. Is that true?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So your testimony previously, direct, you stated that you didn't want to have anything to do with a married woman, right?
I did not, but that had nothing to do with being physical, attractive.
But what do you call physical?
Appearance.
So
She was a nice looking lady at
So
the
her
time.
physical appearance, in spite of the fact that you knew she was married, was something that you wanted to follow up on.
No.
Is that correct?
I just found her
No, he
physically
noticed.
attractive.
Okay.
Look, I can notice that Henry Cavill is attractive. Doesn't mean I'm going to toss Mr. Moe aside. I mean, on the off chance that Henry Cavill does come calling for Moe, I will have a serious discussion with Mr. Moe as to what our hall pass, reality actually is. That being said, I can notice that Henry Cavill is an attractive man. I can notice that, let's see, Cyndi Lauper in, I Drove All Night back in the 80s was a super hot woman. Doesn't mean I'm going to do any of this. Gregory Benway, I don't know. This man seems to be taking a very passive role, you know, in what this relationship was. I mean, almost to the point where he was being stalked and she was the aggressor. Now, whether that is the truth or him telling this story in a way that makes him feel better about being with a married woman, I don't know. And JKD Buck, well, even Flux said she'd climb Mr. Cavill like a tree. Well, see, if Flux agrees with me, then we know it's correct.
And so actually, the lady that got her hired was the person that actually got you connected to Miss Stermer. Isn't that true?
No.
That's how you got the information about her being married.
She didn't have it, got us connected.
But you had no other information about her until you got that information from the person that hired her, right?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, well, you stated that you knew that she was married because of the lady that got her hired.
Right. Once I found out, I was no longer interested.
Oh, after you found out that she was married, you wasn't interested,
No.
but you were still physically attracted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You got him. I don't know what you think you just proved there, but you seemed real proud of yourself, so participation trophy.
Now, how long did Ms. Stermer work at Kimley?
I don't know.
You don't know that?
No.
Well,
She was a side piece and not a wifey. She was a booty call, not a wifey. You don't have to pay attention to what a booty call does most of the week because you're not in it for that. Now, whatever they may have been doing while they were, joyriding, that being said, he is not invested into this. He's not going to know when this chick leaves the company if, again, she kind of pursued him. Now, according to his tale, I'm sure we're going to get other witnesses up that's going to, explain that she pursued him, in triplicate.
were you still working there
When?
when the incident in reference to her house fire? Were you still working at Kimley?
Yes.
Was she still working at Kimley?
Yes.
And did she continue to work at Kimley after the fire?
Yes.
For how long?
I'm not sure. I was in a car accident in February of the 2nd.
You was in where?
A real bad car accident in February.
A real bad car accident?
Yes, I got rear-ended on my way to work.
Okay. So you was away from the
Yes.
employment?
Yes.
Well, would you consider this contacts that you had with Ms. Stermer, were y'all having, would you call it an affair?
Yes.
Okay. And
We have to see that again, because are you stupid? Or is that a stupid question? Was beautiful.
how long did you say that the affair lasted?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you say that the affair lasted?
About 6 months.
6 months. Can you give me the date range?
From June to
June of what year?
06 until after January.
Until January?
Yes.
January, you know the first part of January?
Yes.
Was it before the house fire?
No.
What question are you asking?
The end of the relationship or the affair, was it Did it end before the house fire on January?
No.
January the 7th?
No.
When did it end?
Shortly after.
Week after?
Shortly after. I can't say it was a week. It was longer.
Can't say.
It was longer than a week.
Did you ask Ms. Stermer any details about the house fire?
Yes, I did.
Did you get any details?
Yes, I did.
What was the details you got?
She said that she was downstairs doing laundry, and they was arguing back and forth, and she heard a change in the tone of his voice, and she ran up to see what was going on with him, and upstairs was engulfed in flames.
And that was all?
That was all.
Okay. Now, after you had started this engagement,
Because I don't believe it's for the truth of the matter asserted. So I think basically what they're asking is, because Linda's probably already told him or them what she said. So basically she said it to him. Now, if she had said it to her lawyer, who then told him, and then her lawyer tells him, you know, what happened or what she said, then that's hearsay. Basically, she told him exactly what she said. She talked directly to him, so it's not hearsay. Now, if...
did you ever tell Ms. Stermer to stop coming to your house? If you say she came to your house, right?
Yes.
You ever tell her to stop coming to your house?
No, I did not.
Okay. And you never told us to stop calling you, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. And all at the same time, you knew that you were having some relationship with a married woman, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, why is it his fault? I mean, I understand it takes two to tango, but I really could care less. This man, you know, did what he did. But Linda's the one that chose to step outside her marriage. So, yeah, while I get, yeah, it probably, he's not great. I am just, ugh. Like, you were having sexual relations with a married woman. Because I'm sure Linda didn't get in there all by her own self.
Have you ever been married?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When were you divorced?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that relevant on this.
The relevance, Mr. Miller?
Well, Judge, he made the statement about marital respect. And
I don't think you, those are facts, not an evidence.
I'll sustain the objection on relevance, right?
did you ever go any place with Ms. Stermer overnight?
No.
You ever travel any place with Ms. Stermer?
Not overnight.
Did you ever travel any place with Ms.
Yes.
Stermer? Where?
To Grand Rapids, to the museums.
Just to walk through the museums?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
How many times you go to the museums in Grand Rapids?
Maybe once.
Any place else?
Not really, just joyriding.
Joyride. Okay. How often did you go joyriding?
And not often.
In your car or her car?
My car.
Ms. Stermer ever tell you that she was going to leave her husband?
Yes.
When did she tell you that?
Well, it wasn't working out. She was trying to leave. She wanted a divorce. Well, they was getting a divorce.
But she didn't tell you any locations where she was leaving and going to, though, right?
No.
Okay. She never asked if she come live with you either, did she?
No.
Okay. She never gave you any money, right?
No.
You never gave her any money, right?
No.
She ever talked about her finances to you?
No.
Okay. When were you first contacted by law enforcement in reference to this matter?
About 2.5 years after the incident.
2.5 years after. And who was the first person that contacted you?
I don't recall his name. It was 2 people.
Beg your pardon?
I don't recall their name. It was 2 people, a man and a woman.
Where did they contact you at?
I was living on the east side at that time, and they came to my home.
Well, you have to pardon me because I'm not familiar with the east side. Are you
East
talking
side of
about
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo?
Okay, you guys. Well, I am going to end it here so I have something to look forward to in the morning because I can't break up with what did JKD Buck call him? Samuel X. Jackson. So, yes, you guys, if we were wondering what Linda Stermer's, love connection was, that is Linda Stermer's love connection, Chris Henry Williams, whom, if you listen to him tell the tale, she got his number by lying to his work, lying to get his work number, and then stalked him until he decided, well, if this woman's going to be everywhere I am, I guess I'll take a little nibble. The old Chandler Halderson defense. Anywho, I am going to go start working on spaghetti. I hope you guys have a wonderful job. I do believe that was one of her first trial, so these are not the same lawyers that were on her first trial. So I will have to look up which lawyer was probably involved in that. But I hope you guys have a great afternoon, evening, and I'm going to go work on making spaghetti and garlic bread and all the fun stuff. And let me see who I can send you over to. It looks like, would you guys like to watch? I am going to send you over to Megan Fox. She is watching the Lori Daybell trial. So go give her a watch. And then coming sometime this weekend or this week, I will be doing a reaction on the Petty Express, or maybe just a reaction to Baker's triumph of a stream where he managed to make America look dumb even when his first language isn't English. Or not America, just, Plevin. Anywho, I will see you guys in a little bit. Have a wonderful day. And, be safe, be warm, be happy, and be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a sassy mouth and a can of bitch fire, because kindness no longer equals doormat. See you guys.